For some analysis, we're going to talk to Muhannad Ayyash in Calgary, Canada. He's a professor of sociology at Mount Royal University. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. Joe Biden, like many other leaders, says they want to avoid an all-out war in the region. But from the attacks we've seen over the last few days, even the last few hours, from Yemen, Syria, Iraq, has a regional war not already started?
Yeah, thank you for having me. The words of the U.S. president are not anything to be taken seriously. If they really want to stop escalation, they would stop sending weapons and bombs to Israel. But they clearly are not that invested in stopping any escalation. And the Israelis do want escalation. The Israelis see this moment as a historical moment for them where they can fulfill their dream of colonizing 100% of historical Palestine and eliminating all resistance to that Israeli settler colonial project, no matter where that resistance exists, whether it's in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Iran, in Palestine. So they have a free hand at this moment provided to them by the American government. And I'm afraid that they are trying their best to pull the region into an all-out war that the Israelis believe, with American help, they can win.
Does all-out war mean Iran will get involved? Because that seems to be the key player here, that if Iran gets involved, then it's all-out war. Then we'll see not just the United States get involved, but potentially other countries too.
And that's what Israel wants. Israel wants Iran to get involved in an all-out war so that the Americans would get involved and help them, if not outright defeat the Iranian regime, then severely weaken it. That is certainly what Israel has wanted for decades. They got their wish with Iraq during the early parts of the 2000s. And now they're hoping that they get their wish with Iran. Now, Iran is practicing a lot of restraint. Iran does not want to engage in an all-out war. It knows that that would not be in its own benefit. They, of course, cannot take on the American military, let alone the American military combined with the Israelis and maybe others. So it's not in Iran's interest to engage in an all-out war, and they are trying to stay out of it. I suspect that they will continue to try to not fall into this trap that the Israelis are laying for them. But the Israelis are going to continue to basically weaken all of Iran's allies that are surrounding them in the Middle East, such as Hezbollah right now in Lebanon. So it looks like they are determined to go with this ground invasion in an effort to eliminate Hezbollah. Now, this is, of course, will be easier said than done for the Israelis, but they do have superior military capabilities. Let's not be mistaken about that.
When you talk about weakening Hezbollah and Israel wanting to eliminate resistance movements, is that something that's really possible, perhaps in an ideological sense? Because Israeli leaders themselves, some of them have said that groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, they are an ideology as well as being a resistance group. So even if they are quote-unquote eliminated, that doesn't mean that there won't be another group of a similar nature that also develops from all of this.
You're absolutely right. So, lost in all of this focus on the assassination of Nasrallah is that hundreds of Lebanese civilians were killed during that attack. Hundreds of Lebanese civilians have been killed since the start of the bombardment, not to mention the over 42,000 Palestinians killed in the genocide of the Palestinian people. This kind of violence will not be forgotten. It will continue to breed resistance to Israel's settler colonial project. So even though they have the military capabilities, of course, to weaken groups like Hamas and Hezbollah and even the Houthis, and with American help, they can certainly weaken Iran itself, the resistance to the idea of Israeli settler colonialism is becoming stronger and stronger. So I would actually argue not only are they not defeating the ideology of resistance, they are ensuring its continuance and its expansion. This is all short-term and intermediate-term thinking that the Israelis are following. It is a result of their hubris, and the Americans are right there with them. But make no mistake, people on the ground, all those civilians killed, their fathers and mothers that have lost their children, children that have lost their mothers and fathers, and so on and so forth. These people are not going to just simply forgive and forget. So I'm afraid that we're just heading down the path of much more violence, much more destruction, and it's not going to be good for anyone at this point.
Yeah, not good for anyone at all. Muhannad Ayyash, thank you so much for speaking to us. Appreciate your analysis.
My pleasure. Thank you.